everybody. Happy Saturday. I am on here because I have some not so great news that I decided to share. I'm gonna have to stop recording videos and doing my podcast for y'all, just for personal reasons. And happy April Fools! Did I get you? Y'all, I'm joking. It's Saturday, April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day, y'all. I cannot resist the urge to do that. I am not going to stop recording videos or doing anything unless God tells me to, okay? So that was just a joke. So yeah, happy Saturday, you guys. I am going to be talking to you about my sixth woman from the Bible today. So if you are just watching me, I am doing a Women of the Bible Studies series. This is video number 6. And as I'm talking, the other ones that I've done so far should be popping up for you guys, so you can go watch them after this video. Hello and welcome to my new subscribers. I know y'all are like, wait a minute, I just subscribed to her channel and now she's talking about she's not gonna be on here anymore. It was a joke. Hello, welcome to the Jesus and Coffee Conversations family. I am so excited to have you here. I'm so excited that you subscribed to my channel. I hope it's everything that you need and are looking for. Spread the word about my channel. Y'all share my videos. Make sure you're following me on social media. I'll tell you all about that stuff at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around. And yeah, I think that's everything. So y'all, I have my coffee mug here. It's been a while since I had like my Jesus and Coffee Conversations merchandise on here for y'all. So if you like this mug, it also comes in like a Carolina blue, I think a lime green if I'm not mistaken, but y'all know pink is my favorite color, so I have it in pink. This is the very first one I made. I did go back and redo them so that this would also be on the back, okay? So this is the very first one I did, so this is just on the front, but the new ones have it front and back, all right? So if you're interested in any of that, I will have that in the description box below for you guys, okay? So today I am going to be talking to you about Sarah. Before I get started, I'm gonna drink a little bit. Hopefully that'll keep me a little bit hydrated. I got some herbal tea today. So I'm talking to you about Sarah. And so I titled this Sarah the Promise Carrier, all right? So her story begins in Genesis chapter 12, okay? So Sarah was married to Abraham, and Abraham grew up in a family of idol worshipers, okay? But he was the only one in his family that did not serve those idols. He actually had a relationship with God. And so God spoke to him, told him to leave his entire family, him and his wife Sarah, and go to where, you know, God was going to lead him, okay? So that takes tremendous faith for you to hear God say, I want you to leave everything and everyone you know, and I want you to move to where I tell you. I'm not telling you where you're gonna go. You just be obedient, and when you get there, I'll say this is it, right? That takes a lot of faith. That is why Abraham is known as the father of faith, okay? So his wife, Sarah, was, one of her characteristic traits is she was obedient. She was obedient to her husband, and that takes tremendous faith and trust, right? So for you to be married and your husband is like, look, I heard from God. God said we have to leave everything we know, everyone we know, and we have to go, you know, I don't know where we're going. He didn't say where we're going. He just said we need to go. As that man's wife, you have to know that first of all, he is truly led by God, right? You know that he hears from God. So you have to trust him. You have to trust God first of all. Then you have to trust your man. Then you have to be obedient. So Sarah was obedient. I'm sure she might have questioned him. You know, the Bible doesn't say, but as women, I'm sure she was questioning, like, what you mean God said we have to leave everything and everyone we know? Where are we going? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are we supposed to be doing? Where are we going? Like, you know, she wants all the details. But she was obedient. She was like, okay, you heard from God. God said we got to go. I'm going to obey, and I'm going to go with you. So she was a woman of obedience. And that starts in, like I said, Genesis 12. And today I have the Living Translation. So I'll read to verse 5. So Genesis 12, starting at verse 1. God had told Abram, this is before he changed his name, God had told Abram, leave your own country behind you and your own people and go to the land I will guide you to. If you do, I will cause you to become the father of a great nation. I will bless you and make your name famous, and you will be a blessing to many others. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, and the entire world will be blessed because of you. So Abram departed as the Lord had instructed him, and Lot went too. I'm sorry about my dog. Abram was 75 years old at that time. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all his wealth, the cattle and slaves he had gotten in Haran. Somebody must be walking outside. I'm sorry, y'all. And finally arrived in Canaan. So Abraham he was obedient to God. The only part where he messed up is y'all give me 1 minute, okay? Alright, sorry y'all. Y'all know I don't edit, so you gotta get what you get. Sorry about that. Hopefully she'll get herself together. Okay, so Abraham was obedient. The only place where he kind of sort of messed up is he took Lot. Okay, he was not supposed to take any of his family with him outside of his wife, okay? But that is where it starts. So in chapter 12, this is where Abraham was called Abram and Sarah was called Sarai. And that was all before God had changed, like their names, okay? So she was obedient. She went with her husband to, wherever it was that God was going to tell them. And here you see that they were in their old age. So Abraham, I think it said that he was 75 and she was 65. So there's like that 10-year, age difference. But they are older and they had no children. So here, God is saying, I am going to bless you and you are going to become the father of a great nation. So Abraham, I'm sure was like, well, what do you mean I'm going to be a father? Like, I'm 75. I have no children. Like, where are these children going to come from? But he was obedient, and so was Sarah, okay? So number 2, her second characteristic is she was faithful. So she was... People are walking. I'm sorry. So she was faithful to her husband, and she ultimately was being faithful to God as well, because she was married to Abraham. Excuse me, but she also ultimately had to be faithful to God before she'd be faithful to her husband. So as women, yes, we can be faithful to our man, but ultimately we have to be faithful to God first. God is who we are in a relationship with first. So God is our first priority. And then by us being obedient and faithful to God, we can now have that flow over to us being faithful and obedient to our husbands, okay? So she was a faithful woman. She was faithful to Abraham because she stayed by his side, even though she had no physical evidence of the things that God was promising. God, I'm sure, wasn't talking to her. He was talking to Abraham. So she had to be faithful to Abraham and know that, whatever God is telling him, then that is going to happen for us, okay? As we go on to chapter 16. No, 16. So between 15 and 16. So we kind of see where Sarah becomes a doubter. Like I said, they were in their old age. They had no children. She was barren. I know they desired to have children, but unfortunately that just was not in the cards for them until Abraham's obedience. And God was like, I'm going to make you the father of many nations. So I'm going to bless you with a son. I am going to allow Sarah to conceive a son, and you're going to call him Isaac. Okay, so she was 90, I believe, 90, 95, somewhere around there by the time she got pregnant. But when she heard this, she laughed at God and she was like, okay, yeah, right. I'm 90 plus. And what you talk, where is this son going to come from? Because I am too old to be pushing out a baby. And God overheard her laughing, and he was like, because of that, you're going to call his name, you're going to call him Isaac, which means laughter. But she had doubt. And as women, there are times that we have doubt. There are times, as much as I know God is faithful, as much as I trust God, as much as God has done for me, there are still days and moments where I doubt. The devil comes in and starts, feeding me these different thoughts and things. And I'm like, I'm doubting that I'm ever going to see the things that I desire, and that I'm ever going to see the things that God said were going to be mine. And, but God reminds me, like, he's faithful. God, if God is nothing else, he is definitely faithful. Even when I am not, he is. So for Sarah, she doubted because, like I said, she was 90 plus. And in, today's society, like, if they try to say you 40, it's hard to have kids and all this stuff. So imagine 90 years old and God is like, hey, guess what? That son, you're about to conceive him. I'm going to give him to you now. So she had that moment of doubt where she was just like, I don't think this is going to work. I am old. So then we get into the next one where she's a problem fixer, right? But she really didn't fix the problem. She made the problem worse by having Hagar, her servant girl, marry Abraham, and then he had sex with her, and then she conceived it. So Sarah was like, you know what? God, I know you said I'm going to have my own child, but I'm 90. It's not going to happen. So Abraham, here's Hagar. You marry her. Y'all have sex. Conceive that son, and then that is how you can be this father of all the nations that God said, right? So she decided to be the fixer of her problem, fixer person, right? By saying, look, I know how you can have your son. You're going to marry somebody else, and you're going to conceive the child through her. And God was like, no, that is not what is about to happen. That is not what I said. So she, what comes from that, we have Ishmael, right? So then Sarah becomes jealous because, I'm sure Hagar was probably a little bit resentful because she's like, first of all, I did not want to marry this man, so now I'm marrying him. So I'm going to rub in your face, Sarah, that I'm able to have children and you are not. So she probably was, messing with Sarah that way. And then Ishmael, because what ended up happening, so Sarah did end up getting pregnant with the promise, okay? So that is why I called her the promise carrier, because even before she was able to conceive, she still was a promise carrier, because she is the woman that God wanted to use to bring forth Isaac, the promised child to Abraham, okay? So she was able to conceive. She actually did get pregnant. She gave birth to Isaac. And then as he was getting older, Ishmael was still there, and then Ishmael was starting to mess with Isaac, and Sarah didn't like that. So she went to Abraham and she was like, look, you need to tell this woman and her son that they have to go, because now they interfere with our child, and our child is the promised child. And so, Abraham went to Hagar and told her, like, look, you and Ishmael have to go. I know that had to be hard for him because that's his flesh and blood, right? But he was like, look, Sarah is saying that you guys have to go. You're going to have to go. So he sends them, into the desert, and was just like, find a new, place to live and all this stuff. But God ultimately did look out for Hagar and Ishmael. Ishmael became a father of nations as well. And so God was able to turn that situation around. Even though Sarah was trying to, mess things up, God was like, nope, I'm God. I'm going to still have everything work out the way that I intended for it to work out, even though you and your humanness are trying to interfere with my plans. So Sarah was able to give birth to the promise. So we all are promise carriers, okay? We all are, it's another term I'm looking for that it just left me, but we are destiny carriers, right? we are, and when I say we, I'm talking about women, we are able to conceive, our children, and our children have God-given destinies. And we are the promise carriers, because when we get pregnant, we're carrying the promise, we're carrying the destinies. This is why the devil wants to attack women so hard. This is why there's all this talk with, I have to be careful with my words, where they want to have it to where women can claim women's rights and terminate, pregnancies and things, and that's not how it's supposed to be, because we are carrying destiny. Mary was carrying the ultimate destiny. She was carrying Jesus. And so, as women, we have to, it is very important that we stay connected to God. It is very important that we don't be like Sarah, and I'm talking to myself too, because there's times I'll be trying to help God out, y'all, and I'll be making a mess, okay? So there's times where we doubt. So when we start to doubt, because what God is saying seems impossible, right? God was telling her, you're going to get pregnant in your old age, and you're going to give birth to this son naturally. She doubted that because she's like, well, it's been all this time. Like, I'm 90. There's no way that this is going to happen. So she's doubting that. So then, because in her doubt, she decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to help God out, and I'm going to try to make this happen on my own, in my own way. And there's times that we do the same thing. God would specifically say something, and then the devil comes in, he brings the doubt, and we start to question it, and we start to look at our circumstances and our situations, and we're just like, there's no way that this is going to work out the way God said. So then we try to help God out, and then we go to our plan B's, we go to our plan C, our plan D, E, F, all down the line, and God is like, stop. I told you that XYZ was going to happen, so trust me that XYZ is going to happen, and it's going to happen when I want it to happen and the way that I want it to happen. I don't need your help. How frustrated does God get with us? Because we, in our humanness, are like, we have to help him out. Because for us, we don't see how this is going to happen. We don't see how this is even possible. So because we can't see it, and because we don't know how it's going to happen, then we're like, okay, let us help. Lord, let me help. Let me find the jobs, apply for these jobs that you didn't tell me to apply for. But because I need money, and because what you said was going to happen doesn't look like it's going to happen, I'm going to go here and make this happen on my own, right? And it's just like, you just make things worse. And God is just like, look, would you just sit yourself down somewhere and let me be God, and let me be great, and let me show you how it's going to happen so I can get the glory for it? And that's what God did with Abraham and Sarah. He was like, look, you're going to have Isaac, because then I'm going to get the glory for this, because only God is going to be able to make a 90-year-old woman conceive a child and give birth. So God is he's an amazing God. He is the kind of, he's like, look, everything that I am telling you, everything that I am promising you, sit back, relax, trust that I have this, trust that I'm going to make it happen. It's not your time, because God does not operate in time. We operate in time. But God, to him, one day is like 1,000 years for us. But God is like, no, it's only a day, because he doesn't operate in time. So Sarah was 90, but in God's eyes, he's like, look, you're 23, and I'm God, and I'm going to touch your body, and your body is going to do the things that a 23-year-old is capable of doing. So from her story, we can take this and we can see that God is faithful. We can see that God is, he can do the impossible, right? And all we have to do is be obedient. We have to be faithful. We have to trust. We have to stay in our lane and not try to play God and help God out and do all the things, because then that, it wastes time, first of all, and then it gives birth to a bunch of Ishmaels. When God is like, if you would have said still, you would have just had to deal with the promise. So I am learning to not be like Sarah in the sense of trying to be a problem fixer and just trust that God is going to work it out, because I don't need a bunch of Ishmaels in my life. I want the promise. So Sarah would have never had to deal with Ishmael if she would have kept herself out of it and just trusted God to bring forth the promise. So if you are watching this and you have something that God has promised you, and maybe it was a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, just know that God is faithful and God is going to bring the promise forth. It has to be in His time, though. And a lot of times our promises get postponed because we want to be like Sarah, and so we have a bunch of Ishmaels running around, and God has to deal with the Ishmaels before He can bring forth our promises. So, which would be our Isaacs. So you have to remember that if God promised you something, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what people think. It doesn't matter what the devil brings to you and it's like trying to make you doubt. You need to cast all that down and say, look, I'm going to stand still. I am going to be faithful. I am going to be obedient. I am going to trust God. I am going to stand strong, because I am not about to give birth to a bunch of Ishmaels. I want my Isaac. I want my promise. And when you do that, then that allows the promise to come a lot faster, because God doesn't have to deal with the Ishmaels that you yourself created by trying to help him out. Okay? So I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. I'm sorry about the dog barking and then me having to get off camera and so to deal with it. But yeah, real quick, I'll run through all my things. So in the description box, make sure you check that out. I have all of my information. So my Instagram, make sure you're following me. It's JesusCoffee_conversations. Facebook, follow me, The Real Jesus and Coffee Conversations. The word real is all uppercase, REAL. I am a published author, so make sure you check out. I have written 2 books so far. I need to go ahead and get my 3rd book out. Hopefully I can get that out this summer. I don't know, we'll see. I'm not going to promise anything, but I am definitely working on it. Okay, so I do have 2 books so far. You can get them on Amazon. That link will be in the description box below for you. My merchandise, if you like this coffee mug, I love my journal over there, but I have journals as well. I have a bunch of stuff on there, y'all. And people that order from me absolutely love it. Like the t-shirts and the things are great quality. I have a lot of different coffee mugs, so if you like coffee like I do, or tea, which is what I'm drinking right now, but check out my Jesus and Coffee Conversation store on Teespring, okay? I also have a Jesus and Coffee Jewels jewelry line, which is what I am wearing today, all this purple, all right? So I have like a bunch of different jewelry pieces on there. Y'all, it's only $5, okay? Like, and it's great quality. Like, I've had this for a while, okay? And there's some pieces that I got from my friend. She has, you know, some stuff too, and she was in it for like 3 years, and I still have some stuff from her, and it looks brand new. So even though it's $5, it is amazing quality. Everything is nickel and lead free. Your necklaces come with matching earrings. These are not the earrings that came with it. It's like a different earrings, but anyway, it's like they have sets where you can mix and match and all this stuff. Okay, so all of that will be in the description box below for you. I don't think I'm missing anything else. If you want to book me for a speaking engagement, like a women's conference, your church, or anything like that, email me. My email will be in the description box below. Serious inquiries only, not just because you're trying to talk to me or anything like that. Like if you legit want to book me for a speaking engagement at a conference or a church, then yeah, email me, let me know. If you have any questions or you want me to do like a Q&A, you can also email me. And you know, I can do a video response to questions and things of that nature. All right, so I think that's everything. If I forget anything, check out the description box. But anyway, y'all, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have an amazing work week. And oh, my podcast, that was the last thing. Let's Talk Jesus and Coffee Conversations. That is available wherever you listen to podcasts, so make sure you go download that. Of course, I'll have that in the description box below for you as well. So I think that is everything. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have an amazing work week next week, and I will see you guys in the next video. God bless.